You're listening to Ideal Practice, episode number 191. Hey, everybody, I'm back. This is Wendy, and it has been a while, hasn't it? And I just want to say happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Wait a minute. Did you forget? You mean you don't know that it's our anniversary? That you didn't even realize that you and I have been hanging out together for like 4 whole years this month? Well, we have. And I kind of think it's nice to honor a moment like this with a little reflection. So if you've ever wondered what it takes to master the kind of consistent content that a podcast requires, well, today is your day, because I'm going to spill the beans. I'm going to tell you about the behind the scenes work that it takes to make this happen every week, which I feel like doing now that I've had a few weeks off. And I want to invite you to stick around to the end, because I'm going to tell you where I learned how to do this, which is not a resource of mine, but it is one that I found incredibly helpful, and I want to share it with you as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Wendy Pitts-Reeves, and with over 2 decades of experience in the private practice world, I've built my 6-figure business while learning a lot of lessons the hard way. This is the first podcast that shows you how to apply the principles of energy, alignment, and strategy to build a practice that is profit-centered, but people-forward. This is the Ideal Practice Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ideal Practice Podcast. This is Wendy Pitts-Reeves, your host. And as always, I'm so excited to be hanging out with you. I know it's been a while. I've been traveling. I took a little vacation, took a little time off, but I missed you. I won't say I missed the work that a podcast takes, but the minute I'm back on this microphone and the minute I'm back here talking to you, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. I love this. I do love this. Wonder what's happening in your life. How have you guys been over the last few weeks? I wanted to tell you that just yesterday, here in the small town that I live in, just outside of Knoxville in East Tennessee, a colleague and I hosted a little hangout, a little get-together, bright and early on Monday morning at a favorite local coffee shop here in our town. Shout out to Vienna Coffee if you're local. And I did this a few years ago and everybody loved it. And then I didn't do it again. And so it was kind of time. And so with the encouragement and inspiration of my friend Sean Helvey, who you guys have met here on the podcast in the past, we decided to do it again. And so I am the administrator for a local Facebook group. I say local, it basically covers East Tennessee. And we have, something like 1,600 licensed mental health professionals in that group that basically cover the East Tennessee corridor. And my particular county, here at the base of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, it has really taken off. We have a lot of growth happening, which people have mixed feelings about, but I think there's more good than not in the middle of all that. And whereas my practice used to be kind of like the main show in town, well, there's tons of them now. They're popping up all over the place, which is kind of cool to see. I love seeing young folks, honestly, I'm going to be honest here. I love seeing young folks who are starting practices, who are doing it right in ways that I didn't know how to do it. Because I was also young when I started my practice. I was only 31 or 32 when I started what became my group practice. But it's happening all over the place here. And I want to meet these people. I want to know who you guys are. And a lot of you are telling me that you are listening to the podcast. So what a delight it was to host a little hangout and have you guys come and hang out and talk. And guys, I don't know about you, but talk about networking. I did an episode a long time ago about how to be a networking ninja, how to get through a networking experience, because personally, I am an off-the-chart introvert, and I hate those things. I hate walking around and making small talk with strangers, so I don't do it that way. When I host something, and Sean was fine with this too, and because we're all therapists, it was more like group therapy. Well, maybe not quite like that, but we did not stand up and walk around and swap business cards. We sat in a circle and we talked. Who are you? What do you do? What kind of clients do you like? How long have you been in practice? Where'd you come from? So cool to get to know you. And it was lovely. It was really, really lovely. And everybody enjoyed it and are already asking me when the next one's going to be. So we're going to do that. And that's an automatic boost to my energy. I really do love the deeper connection that happens in the format like that, the way I like to do things, the way Sean and I do things, as opposed to the more traditional way to host a networking thing. There's nothing wrong with the other way. It just doesn't satisfy me. And honestly, I kind of think deeper connection is something that a lot of people are craving now in the world. We're all a bit burned out, are we not, on TikTok? Even though I'm as guilty as anybody, I scroll as much as anybody else does. But there's nothing like a real face-to-face, deeper conversation with another human being that you either already know and love and enjoy being with, or that you don't know, but you want to get to know. That's what that hangout was about yesterday. And as I was thinking about this podcast episode, that's also kind of what this is about for me. Now, it doesn't always feel like that because I've told you I feel like I'm speaking into a void, right? Because I'm talking to you and I cannot see you. But there are ways that you let me know you're there. Literally in the last couple of weeks, I have had, a handful of people that I have met in various situations where I honestly wasn't even thinking about this, and they would just casually mention that they listened to my podcast or how much they've learned from my podcast or how inspired they have been by some of the stories that we've told here. And it always surprises me when people say that because it's kind of like, oh, really? Oh, wow. Well, that's cool. And finding a way to connect with you digitally is important too. So when you send me an email, my email, y'all, is wendy@wendypittsreeves.com. When you send me an email to tell me what you're thinking or what you're learning or what questions you have, that's cool. When you leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify and comment about the episode or the podcast as a whole and what you like about it and what you're getting out of it, all of those tell me that you and I are in a relationship here. And that matters a lot to me. And I wanted to tell you, when it comes to doing something like a weekly podcast, like it is no small thing. And this was not the first thing I tried. So for those, many of you have been our former coaching clients of mine. Some of you are current coaching clients of mine. You know that one of the things that we talk about, one of the 7 pillars, the 6th pillar of the 7 pillars of an ideal practice is promotion. And the concept behind that is when you know who you serve and you know what they need, you can't help them if they don't know about you. So it's not bragging, guys. It's not making yourself the center of attention when you promote your services and your skill and your expertise to the world in some way. If you don't do that, the people who could benefit from your help aren't going to find you. And we want them to find you, right? We want them to find you, respect you, honor you, pay you, and get help from you. That's the nature of the business you and I are in. So I, too, throughout the 30 plus years that I have been in a private practice, I have always worked on lots of different ways to promote myself, my group, the people who worked in my group, all the various projects and initiatives and different kind of crazy things I've done over the years. I've always worked on trying to find a way to get that out there. In the early years, a lot of that was public speaking and volunteer work. I served on a ton of boards. I attended conferences. I hosted conferences. I would speak to anybody, anywhere who would have me. That was a big part of how I built my own reputation and the reputation of my practice early on, as well as some of the other businesses I have run along the way, like the adventure-based businesses and some of the projects I've done. However, as a coach, and is my work with what I now call ideal practice. My business technically, y'all, is called C2C Consulting. That's not C2C as in ocean to ocean, although I love that. We could say this is a coastal company. That's true. I do work with people all across the country, but it's actually the letters C and the number 2. So C2C Consulting, which stands for courage to confidence. And that comes from this deep belief I have in the power of experiential work and that so many of my clients, so many of you, my listeners, are already courageous. You just don't always know it. You don't always claim it, but it's there. I see it in all kinds of ways. So my business is called C2C Consulting because I'm all about helping you discover the courage that's already in there. Own it, claim it, implement it, and use it to grow your practice or to improve your life, whatever it is you're looking for help with. However, when it comes to ideal practice or to the coaching work that I do with private practice owners, I've tried lots of different things and experimented with lots of different modalities for how to connect with you, my audience, my people, my tribe. At first, it was a blog. Y'all remember blogs? They're still out there. People still do this. I posted a blog, which I worked seriously at. I did that every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. for 7 years. And it will tell you something when there was a day along in the middle of all that when I spent an entire day in the ER after suffering a fairly significant injury to my hand that I won't go into details about. I'll just say it was a really rough day. And all I could think about the whole time I was at the ER trying to get some help was that I still needed to type my blog that night to make sure it was ready for the next morning. And was I going to be able to type with one hand, which I did, in fact, do. No, I'm not recommending that. No, I'm not saying that was healthy. I am saying that's how committed I was to getting that message out. I did that blog for a long, long time. Writing does work well for me. I like to write. I think I'm a decent writer, but I'm an obsessive writer. So it was exhausting and took up a lot of space in my brain and a lot of time in my week. So I eventually let that go. Then, knowing that my tendency is to stick with something longer than I should, I made a commitment to try my hand at a YouTube channel. And if you have seen that, I'm just going to apologize for you. I mean, it's still out there, and we are beginning to post this on there, not as a video, but as an audio. And if you've seen that, that's fine. If you've seen my videos, I'm not thrilled with them, but I have not taken them down because you know what? It is who I was, and it was what I knew how to do at the time. But I tried that and was quite committed to that for a full week. I told myself I would do that for a week. Listen to me, a full year, 52 episodes. And I did that. My thinking at the time was that I am actually quite comfortable on camera. I'm fine with that. I mentioned that I've done a ton of public speaking. I'm usually pretty good at that and get a good response from that. So my logical brain said, well, that should work. So let's just try speaking to a camera. What I found was I hated editing. I really wasn't at all interested in learning how to edit. And honestly, the complications and tasks, or let's say the challenges involved in getting the lighting and sound right was really tiring. And I didn't love that. So I tried that for a year, spent a fortune on it, paying for editing services and all kinds of help because I did not want to learn how to do it myself, and decided that was not for me. So I tried writing, I tried video. And then, and I'm going somewhere with this, so bear with me, I had a lot of people tell me I should consider starting a podcast. Now, I have a contrarian in me. I have an inner contrarian that does not want to do what everybody else is doing. And Lord, everybody and their brother's doing a podcast. So I'm kind of like, oh, why would I want to do that? Everybody's doing that. I don't care about that. But that feedback kept coming to me. And finally, I did find an opportunity where I could learn how to do it. And I thought, well, what the heck? I might as well give this a shot. And so I did. And I'll tell you what I learned at the end of this episode. Okay. So I want you to stick around for that because I am going to share that with you. But I kind of want to get to the big picture first. And here's the big picture. After trying so many things for so many years, when I landed on podcasting, I loved it, like immediately, instantly loved it. Something kind of magic happened, okay? In that this format was such a good fit for me. It did not come without a learning curve. There was a lot I had to learn, and I want to share some of those lessons with you. But here's my main point. You do need to connect with your audience, and there's going to be a way that's right for you. And I encourage you to give yourself time space, and a certain level of commitment to really see something through to see if it's going to work for you. So here's the first lesson for me about all of this, and that is it's important to find the format, the methodology, the platform, the energy, the style of promotion for your practice that works best for you, that fits you. In order to promote your practice and develop an audience, you have to find a way, y'all, to get your message out to your ideal client. You got to do it. There's too much noise out there. You cannot just put it happens, but it's definitely the exception. I'm going to tell you that to build the kind of practice I suspect you really want, an ideal practice that is thriving, that flows, that has the kind of cash flow you want, but also the kind of energy and impact and joy that you want it to have, you can't just stick a sign on your door and create a Psych Today profile or, post something on Facebook and you're done. That's just not going to work, because even good people who want to hire you or refer to you will just forget you're there, because we live in a busy, noisy world, right? But finding the platform that works for you, the style that works for you, whether it is speaking, whether it is in-service, in-person work, whether it is volunteering, or whether it's writing, speaking, or creating a podcast. I encourage you to experiment with those and figure out what works for you. And like any new skill that you may have to learn as a clinician, as a practitioner of your art and your craft, and as a business owner, a practice owner, this too does take a certain amount of commitment, and I think it takes a certain amount of training. I think you can kind of tell who has done their homework and who hasn't. That's what I'm going to say. And I think you'll notice it, because you'll find yourself naturally tuning into and wanting to follow the podcasts or the YouTube channels or the blogs that work in a certain way, that have a certain level of, shall we say, polish, professionalism. And I don't mean stilted. I mean real, authentic, unique to whoever the person is that's creating that content. But one of the things you can do, honestly, just pay attention to the channels that you follow and why. What is it about them that attracts you? What's the difference between those and the ones that turn you off? You might want to start with that. That's kind of interesting. So the first thing I want to tell you is it's important that you find some way to consistently communicate with your potential clients. And I encourage you to experiment with different modalities, different methodologies, different platforms to find the one that works for you. And experiment doesn't mean you try it 3 times and quit. It does mean sticking with it for a while, because it takes a while to learn. Okay, number 2, the second thing I wanted to say is it's really important just to understand what it takes. Sean and I were talking about this yesterday as we were waiting for folks to show up at our hangout. It's easy to think that starting a private practice is all about breaking free of your boss and the agency or hospital where you have felt so trapped or so encumbered, where you can finally do things your way. And I was telling him, I remember when I had one of the agency jobs I had before I started my practice, where I had to be at a neighboring town for 8:00 appointments. And it was a good 30 to 45 minute drive, which meant I had to leave my house at 7:15. And I can remember making that drive and thinking, by golly, when I have my practice, I'm not going to see people until 9:00. You watch, I'm going to take my time in the morning. I'm never going to work like this. Well, that's not true. When it's up to me to be bringing in the cash, man, I'd see you at 7:00 in the morning, 6:00 in the morning, 8:00 at night. Whenever you wanted to come, I would see you. Now that's changed over time. But the truth is, y'all, here's a hard truth that people don't always tell you. Growing a successful, healthy, sustainable, enjoyable private practice is not a small thing. It is not an easy thing. It does take a lot. And marketing, promoting your work also takes a lot. Here's what I see. A lot of people, way too many people, either avoid marketing altogether because they're so freaked out by the whole idea, they just don't even want to think about it, or they kind of do this half-assed kind of thing. They just want to, I'm just going to throw out a quote on Instagram or post a pretty picture of my office and my clients will call me. Y'all, it takes so much more than that. You really do have to think strategically and systematically because that's not going to work. So I already talked about finding the right method. That's one thing. Once you find that, once you figure that out, or once you even choose the one you're going to experiment with, the next thing you have to do is you have to set it up in a way that you can keep it going, because you have keeping it up is also important. If you only share some kind of content once a month, people are not even going to notice it. You could go as little as every couple of weeks, but honestly, I don't think that's great. Folks really do need to hear from you in a fairly consistent way so that you are predictable and they know to look for you in their inbox. So once you decide this is what I'm going to try, then you have to make a commitment to how often you're going to share the content that you create. And you have to set up all the systems it's going to take to create that. And here's something I want you to think about as well. I always want you, whatever you're doing, always keep in mind that your ultimate goal, the whole reason you're doing this, is twofold. One is to get people to your website. And all the stuff out there is like you want them to engage, you want them to listen, you want them to read, you want them to watch. Yes, all of that. But ultimately, what you're really trying to do is invite people to learn more, to come to your website where they can take a deeper look at who you are and what you're about. And then we want them to take action. We want them to call you, email you, text you, fill out your contact form, somehow or another get them over the hurdle to reach out, because you are the one who can help. That's what this is all about, okay? That's what this is all about. Now, before I get into some of the details about podcasting itself, because that's what I want to do now, I'm just going to focus on this particular format. Before I do that, I do want to share just a little free resource with you. I've mentioned in the past, but it's been a while since I've told you all this is out there. I often get emails from listeners and from former clients and even students who will text me or email me and say, "Hey, Wendy, you did an episode about X one time, and I remember you had a worksheet about that. How do I find that?" Or, "Hey, Wendy, when we were working together, I remember you taught me how to do this process. I cannot find that tool to save my soul. Can you show me where I can get another copy of that?" So the things that are most popular that people ask me about all the time, I have created a page on my website where I have all of that visible, where you can download whichever free resource you want. And if you've done it before, but you've lost it, it's fine to go back and do it again. That's fine. The way to get to that is to go to my website, Wendy Pitts with an S, Wendy Pitts Reeves, also with an S, .com, wendypittsreeves.com/free-resources. Free-resources. You'll also see it in the navigation bar at the top of the website. And just to give you a sampling, because I hadn't looked at it in a while, I thought, what do I even have up there? I have the things that I talk about here a lot, the IP360 scorecard, which is that self-assessment tool you can use to get a quick overview of what's working in your practice and where you need to grow. I've got my ebook on there, 31 Practical Ways to Increase Cash Flow in Your Private Practice. That's a really cool thing. I've got a template for how to answer the questions when people ask you about if you take insurance. I've got a pricing worksheet that I think people find a lot of value in. I've had people who were able to really clean up and adjust their pricing structure just from having done this worksheet. There's lots of other stuff. I've got a whole thing in here about your client roadmap, like your relationship with your client and how to build that over time. So lots of juicy stuff in here that comes from the paid work that I do with people. So go check that out. It's on the free resources page on my website. Just go to wendypittsreeves.com, look for free resources at the top, and go get what you need. And if you've lost it, go get it again. Okay. I wanted to mention that to you because there really is good stuff there, and I tend to forget to share that with you. All right. Let's talk about podcasting, y'all. Let's talk about podcasting, the thing I swore I didn't want to do that it turns out I actually do want to do. So here's the thing. I love podcasting. And fun fact, many of you don't know, way back when I first went to undergrad, I actually was a broadcasting major in undergrad. I actually started off, I was thinking about journalism. I landed in broadcasting because I always was kind of drawn to the idea of being on camera or on the radio. I actually thought I had a terrible voice for radio because I used to get teased about my voice sometime. As a kid, I'm not known for I get teased about my accent. I got teased that my voice was a little bit on the nasal side. So I actually did not think I had a good voice for radio. But I was always kind of interested in the concept or the idea of broadcasting. Well, we know how all that turned out, right? And look, I've come full circle. And actually, I think I have a perfectly fine voice for podcasting. So there you go. And whatever accent I have, that's just the way it is. So I do love podcasting. And here's why. I love the intimacy of audio, first of all. I love long form content. That was part of why YouTube didn't work for me. It's very hard to sit down and watch a 30-minute video, an hour long video. But with audio, I know you can take me with you when you're driving or walking the dog or working in the yard. And I know you can listen for a little while, then come back, listen to the rest of it a little bit later. I know you can do that because I do that myself with all kinds of podcasts, right? And for me personally, I like a deeper conversation. I like a longer engagement. My guests, like it's really interesting when I am guesting on other people's podcasts. I'm always impressed with the people who can do a 20 or 30-minute interview. Like, yay for them. I am not that person. I'm just not that person. And if that's what you want, you're probably not going to stick with me. But I'll tell you, my podcast interviews, I think, are deeper than some. And a lot of my guests have told me that it's one of the best experiences they have had as a guest because we do go deep. I like the long form content. I like being able to ask whatever I want. I like to be able to think at a deeper level with you. And so that's the first thing. I just love the form of this and what it allows. It feels like it's just so much richer and more personal. The second thing, I love meeting guests from all over the world. I love the connections that I feel like I can make with people that I would never have met in real life. It is the coolest thing. And I find myself remembering them and referring to them all the time. I'm constantly saying, I interviewed someone who did X and they were really cool and I learned this from them. Or I interviewed someone who did Y and you know what? That's a resource. You should go look these people up because I think they could be really helpful. I do that all the time. And you know this, like at the beginning of every interview, I always ask people where they are, right? Where are you in the world? Who do you serve and how do you serve them? Because I get such a kick out of that. I never, ever, ever, ever get tired of that. So that's just fun. It's fun and helpful and inspiring. So I love the format. I love the people I get to meet. I also, and this was a surprise, I love the tech, y'all. I love the tech. Like, this is fun. And it wasn't that hard to learn, really. Like, it took a little while in the beginning, but it wasn't that hard to learn. And I love the microphone. I love the headphones. I loved getting it all set up. I loved buying the right equipment. I loved figuring out how it all worked. And I even love editing the audio. Now, sometimes I pay folks to do that. I am not currently. Currently, I'm doing my own editing because it's really not that hard and I kind of enjoy it. But that was a big surprise. So those are all different reasons why this works for me. I will share with you a couple of things that I have found that makes this critical. One is audio is really, really important. Even if you're doing YouTube, your audio is really important. People will turn off whatever you've got if they don't like the sound. Like we have sort of an instinctive reaction to that. So audio is important. I personally use a Samsung Q2U dynamic mic. And I use Samsung, not Samsung, SR950. Those are the headphones I use. This is not the best equipment you can get, but it is better than, it's not low end. It's somewhere in the middle. And I'm quite happy with it. Okay. I loved that once I figured that out. That was really fun getting that set up. And that is important. It is also important to recognize that this takes time. You do not do this quickly. Planning, producing, polishing, publishing a weekly podcast is not a light thing. Not only do I have to sit down and think through what are the kinds of content I want to bring to you, what kind of episodes do I want to cover, what kind of guests do we want to bring on board, but we have to find them, first of all. We have to vet them because not everybody is a good fit, and I am very particular. So if you have been a guest on my show, that is a compliment to you because I am particular. And it takes a while to record. Well, first of all, figure out the script, like if I'm doing a solo episode like this, but to record it, to script it, record it, edit it, go back and fine tune it. Then once that's all done, there's various steps you have to go through. There are a series of audio file processes that you have to go through to get the file ready. Then I have to write the marketing copy that goes with it. I post on Facebook and LinkedIn. I do not do Instagram. I know I'm the only person on the planet that doesn't. Sorry, can't help it. But I do write quite a bit of content for those two platforms. I have to write all that and a newsletter. And then I have to set all that up. I have to communicate it to my team. We have to get all the assets created, memes, quotes, sound bites, all of that kind of stuff, and then post it. Like the process for every single episode is no small thing. We make the plan. If it's a guest episode, I do a pre-call where I meet them first to decide if I want to bring them on. Then we schedule them. Then we record it. Then I have to set up all the files that stuff is stored in. Then I have to, or if it's for myself solo, like today, I write the script, same thing. Edit it, write the copy, create the assets, publish it, and post it. All of those things take time. And if you don't have a team, like in the beginning, I did not, and I could easily spend a couple of days a week just doing this podcast, which may or may not be the best use of my time. Okay? It is important to remember you want this to also produce cash flow for you in some way, whether that is in the form of sponsors and advertising content, which you will see I do not have, or in the forms of product, program, services that you sell, which you will see I do sometime, or if it's in the terms of business that it brings your way, clients, customers, those kinds of folks, which I also do. So it's a big commitment. It needs to help pay for itself. And when you find the right one, it's also fun. So that's what I wanted to tell you about this and what this has been like for me after doing it for 4 years. One of the other things I've learned along the way, and this is more of a personal thing than a technical thing, I am the kind of person that when I make a commitment, I will stick to it come hell or high water, sometimes to my own detriment. And I have made myself learn to be okay if we skip a week from time to time. And I'm probably going to take a month off in the summer, which I wouldn't have been able to do a few years ago. But I'm learning that giving myself and my team a little breathing room from time to time is okay. And if you love me, you will still be here when I come back. Right? That's right, right? I'm right about that, right? Please tell me I'm right about that. Okay. So to tell you kind of when you get this nailed down, when you get it all figured out, here's the cool part. I will tell you, once I did the work and learned how to craft a podcast, like one of the first things I had to do was to go out and figure out what was it all about? What was I going to call it? How do I describe it? What's the marketing copy that sets it up? And what's the trailer going to be like? Well, you guys have listened to this podcast. You know the opening segment that you hear at the beginning and the music that goes with that. If you listen to the trailer, you will hear a modified version of the same. It's a little bit longer. I had to find the music and I had to edit that music down to the beat to make it fit. I had to write the script and record that little intro, and I had to do it over and over until it was exactly right. That took a little while, But you know what? When I finally nailed it, when I finally had that recorded and I was happy with it and I listened to it all the way through the first time, I cried. Isn't that funny? I cried because I was like, oh my gosh, I think that works. And I was so tickled with it and so pleased. And my wife used to laugh at me because I would come home from work and I would, I listen to my own podcast in the car, and I would come home and I would say, I have been listening to the best podcast today. It's so cool. You should check it out. And she'd say, really? Is it called Ideal Practice by any chance? And I would say, yes, as a matter of fact, it is. Yeah, it's really funny. But that's what happens when you find the place where you belong. It feels that good. And as I told you, in the last week, last couple of weeks, I've had several people mention to me that they listen to it, and that makes me happy. And in about a month or so, I'm going to take a real vacation, a couple of weeks, and I'm going to go to the PNW, Pacific Northwest, where I have a few clients, and there's a really good chance I may meet one or two of them while I'm up there in person. And isn't that cool? So it really is worth it once you figure this stuff out. And I encourage you to explore, experiment with, commit to learning how to find a way to get your message out to your ideal clients, whatever that is. And I promise you, I would tell you where I learned how to do this. So if podcasting is one of the things you're interested in, there are lots of teachers out there. I am not one of them, but there are out there, and there's lots of courses and lots of places you can learn this. I will tell you what I did. I took a course from Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn is from Smart Passive Income. He is one of the, I would say, the grandfathers at this point, although he's much younger than me, but he's been around for a long time. He has a gazillion, million, trillion followers. He's a really good guy. I've actually been in several of his programs, and I really like him a lot. He has a course called Power Up Podcasting. Power Up Podcasting. I don't know what he's pricing it for now. Whatever it is, it's worth paying for. And I will tell you, like with any course, it only works if you work it. But I did purchase that course. I went through the lessons one by one. I did the homework. I took the notes. I followed his advice, and it paid off. I can see things that I do now that I would not have known to do if I hadn't taken that course, because I notice it when other people don't do them, right? So that's my secret weapon. It's Pat Flynn's course, Power Up Podcasting. I think he has some advanced courses as well, but that's the beginner one, and that was all I needed to get started. Okay? So I promised I would share that with you. I am not an affiliate. I'm not even going to give you a link. You can go find it. Look up Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income, and find his course, Power Up Podcasting. If this is something you want to do, I would strongly encourage you to use that to start with. All right? All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me, and happy anniversary. Let's see if we can get another year in, shall we? Yeah, I think we shall. Have a great week, everybody, and I will see you next week right here on the Ideal Practice Podcast. Bye now. Hey, y'all. If this program has become important to you, if Ideal Practice matters, it would mean so much to me if you'd be willing to take just a minute to do one or two of the following things. First of all, would you follow or subscribe to the show here at Ideal Practice? Following me helps you because you'll never miss an episode, but it helps me as well for all kinds of reasons. To do that, all you have to do is go to the show page for Ideal Practice on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. There, just click on the plus sign that you'll usually find in the top right-hand corner, or click on the word follow that you're going to find somewhere there on that page. Of all the things, this really is the most important thing you can do for the podcast itself. While you're there, it would be extra special if you would be willing to give me a 5-star rating, and even better than that, a review with your own words. Your words matter. And when you write what you feel, what you think, you uplift and encourage others. And I love that. If you want to go a step further than that, take your favorite episode or two, one of the ones that has meant a lot to you, and share it with a friend. Could you do one or two of those things for me? I promise I will love you forever. You guys matter to me, and I value your support more than I can possibly say. Thank you, sweet friend, for anything you can do to help me out and support the show. I'll see you again soon.